Just as we see the American GIs driving a Jeep in every war movie or documentary, we see their rival too, the German soldier driving a Kubelwagen, the German equivalent of the Jeep in World War II. Or a somewhat rarer sight, the Schwimmwagen, the amphibious version. So let's see how these German rivals to the Jeep were developed and used in World War II. If you're interested in the history of the Jeep as well, I have already made a video on that, so I recommend you check that out. See the link in the description or at the end of this video. The story of these vehicles starts in the mid-1930s, when in Germany the Nazi Party developed a program called Strength Through Joy. In this program, amongst others, there was a plan to build the people's car, Volkswagen as we know it today, an affordable vehicle for German families, easy to produce and build, cheap to buy and maintain. By 1935 the prototypes were ready for the car, which would become the Volkswagen Beetle after the war. The Type 1 prototype designed by Ferdinand Porsche used cheap sheet metal construction and a rear-mounted air-cooled engine. Though mass production of the vehicle was planned to start in the late 1930s, it was almost immediately stopped when the war broke out. But years before that, as early as 1935, there were discussions of the military applications of the Volkswagen project. It was perfectly fit for military use by principle, cheap, easy and fast to produce, rugged and easy to maintain. So as the war approached, in 1938 official specifications were issued for a lightweight military vehicle. It had to be lightweight with good off-road capabilities and preferably not heavier than 950 kilograms, fully loaded carrying 4 troops. The first prototype was ready just a month after the specifications were laid out. But as you can see, it was not much more than a stripped-down Volkswagen at that time. Porsche quickly realized that in order to achieve the required good off-road capabilities, the vehicle needs a lighter and also stronger chassis than the original. So he approached the coach builder Nicolas Trutz to help designing and building a new lightweight unibody for these vehicles. The Type 62 prototype was ready in late 1938 and testing began soon, comparing it against different vehicles, four-wheel drives as well. The original design didn't even have doors to save weight. It just used some sheets to prevent passengers from falling out. Though the Kubelwagen only had two-wheel drive and a small engine, it was very lightweight and surprisingly mobile off-road even in deep mud or snow, thanks to its smooth underbody and self-locking differential. It could keep up with any four-wheel drive vehicles of the time, and if it got stuck, it could easily be freed by the passengers, thanks to its lightweight construction. The development didn't stop though. The vehicle had a new body design by 1939, receiving its signature more angular looks. Some of these pre-production models took part in the invasion of Poland as well, as a field test. The vehicle impressed the army overall, but some changes were implemented after the campaign. The improved Type 82 version received gear reduction hubs, more ground clearance and bigger wheels. The mass production of the Type 82 started in February 1940, and more than 50,000 were produced during the war until 1945, with only minor modifications. The biggest change on the Kubelwagen was the switch to the bigger 1131cc engine in 1943. There were some experimental versions tested with four-wheel drive, but they didn't offer any significant advantage over the Type 82, so they didn't go to production. The final production versions of the Kubelwagen were first deployed during the Western Campaign in 1940, and after that they were used in every theater of the war by the German army. In the West, in the Eastern Front, and in North Africa as well. Now let's see the general technical specifications of the Kubelwagen. The vehicle was quite small, 3.7 meters long, 1.6 meters wide, and 1.65 meters tall. It weighed 715 kilograms and was powered by a 985cc air-cooled engine producing 24 horsepower. Its maximum speed was 80 km an hour on roads and around 20-30 km an hour off-road. The maximum range of the vehicle was around 400 km. Let's compare it to its rival, the American Jeep. The Jeep was 3.32 meters long, 1.57 meters wide, and 1.75 meters tall. It weighed 1040 kilograms, but the more weight was compensated by its bigger 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine, developing 60 horsepower. Its maximum speed was 110 km an hour on roads and around 50 km an hour off-road, and it had a range of 450 km. The US Army evaluated the Kubelwagens captured in North Africa, and though they found it inferior to the Jeep, they issued a very detailed field manual to the troops in case the vehicles were captured after the Normandy landings. The manual discusses the main features, normal operating as well as hot and cold weather instructions, and even repairing of the vehicle. The Kubelwagen did very well on all kinds of terrain, at all theaters of the war, but it had one drawback: it wasn't amphibious. And that takes us to its sibling, the Schwimmwagen. Though the Kubelwagen's four-wheel drive experimental versions didn't go to production, they weren't wasted. The plans were dusted off as soon as the army needed a new vehicle, similar to the Kubelwagen but amphibious. The thinking behind this vehicle was similar to what brought the Duck and the Ford GPA to life on the American side: to build an amphibious vehicle based on the one already in service with the army. If you're interested in the history of the Duck and the Ford GPA, I already have a video on those vehicles. See the link in the description or at the end of this video. Just like as the Ford GPA was based on the Jeep, the new Schwimmwagen was based on the experimental four-wheel drive versions of the Kubelwagen. It had some differences though. It used a bigger 1131cc engine, a completely new body of course with enough buoyancy, a propeller on the back, and the four-wheel drive system. The first version of the vehicle, the Type 128, used the standard 2.4 meter wheelbase from the original Volkswagen cars and first appeared in 1940. The vehicle performed well, but immediately some faults were found. The body was too rigid, and on rough terrain it often developed cracks, which are not a welcome sign on an amphibious vehicle. The solution was found in a new shorter wheelbase body, which solved this problem. The new shorter variant, the Type 166, entered production in 1942. The Schwimmwagens first were used by special units like paratroopers and elite units like the SS. During the war they were deployed at almost all theaters, in the Western Front, the Eastern Front, North Africa and Italy. More than 15,000 of them were manufactured, making this type the most produced amphibious car in history. The Schwimmwagen was 3.8 meters long, 1.5 meters wide and 1.6 meters tall. It weighed 910 kilograms and used a 1130cc air-cooled engine producing 25 horsepower. It had a top speed of 80 km an hour on land and 10 km an hour in water. Its maximum range was 400 km. We can compare it to its American rival, the Ford GPA, which was 4.6 meters long, 1.6 meters wide, and 1.75 meters tall. It weighed 1110 kilograms and used the same 60 horsepower 2.2 liter petrol engine as the Jeep. It had a maximum speed of 70 km an hour on land and 10 km an hour in water. Though the Ford GPA was bigger and more powerful, the Schwimmwagen was actually a better amphibious car and had much better off-road capabilities. Though they were very basic designs from today's viewpoint, the Kubelwagen was a great car for its time. They were quite popular after the war, and Volkswagen even manufactured a successor, the Type 181, for the German army and to the civilian market from 1969. The Schwimmwagens are popular amongst the collectors, and today 189 surviving units are known. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and in the comments let me know if there's any interesting events or vehicles you'd like to see.